You guys didn't have enough questions, so I ran out of plugins. So I ran out of plugins to demo. So let me show you some stuff I wrote. Okay, so let's say I wanted to put a weight map that extended from this point here all the way down. Let's see. So that's I wrote a tool that'll do that. And actually, because this has a UV map, I can easily select the base without getting anything else. So there's all our bottom points. Let's go to LScript, my plugins. This one, this one is called Weight Outward. And it'll create a weight map. And there's our weight map. The original, these are the options here. So our original selection will get a weight of, let's set it to 0. Actually, let's go -1 on the original. So these points here will get weighted -1. And the last step, what it does is it selects outward and weights each step with a different weight value. So let's set that to 1. And the selection direction is expand. It's going to go out. And the number of steps, we're going to have it scan for the number of steps. And weight it outward and wait while it waits. So now we can see here, it's actually weighted. This blue here is negative weight values, and the red is positive weight values. And you can go ahead, you can use this for texturing. You can go into the surface editor, into the nodes, load up a VMap, vertex, oh, not the color, we want just weight map, and then select the weight map, outward weight, and then you can feed that into a gradient, something like that. Let's actually do this and show you. Put it as the input, set the color. I'll have to load this into layout to render it. Let's put that there. Actually, let's put some textures. Show my key. So this actually needs to go into the negative, because remember we have negative weight values on there. So we need to go -1, put this at -1, and then set this, where'd that key come from? Okay, there we go. So set that to 1, get another texture, crust, put it on the other key. Now let's go ahead, plop this into layout. I'll use 9.6.
Well, wait, one of the interesting things that I found out about 10, I don't know if I'm sure people know about this, but I can modify the files and have them show up in layout and not necessarily save them.
Oh yeah, they have a file watcher in there now. That was added for interfacing with Core.
You say interfacing with what?
Core? Instead of having to have all the data go through the hub, they have layout modeler just keep track of the files. And so when they see that a change has been made to the file, it loads it up. It loads up the change.
I've used it. The only thing I warn people about is that if you do that a lot. It's very CPU intensive and it drags things down.
So this is Jovian as well. This is actually being worked on. So if this crashes, don't blame me. It's beta software. This has got some of the new features I'm adding. The live color searching. So as you're changing the color, it actually shows you the colors that match it. It's going to have custom complements. So I can drag these around. The color exporter. A lot of these things were originally written for this, which is the standalone version of Jovian. You'll notice they look almost identical. I didn't want to fix what wasn't broken. So, you know, it's had the different exporter and things like that. I've just been focusing on backporting that stuff.
I actually had a question on this. Do you have a gradient exporter?
Not yet.
Okay.
You can, let's see, you can actually, oh, you know what? Yes, I sort of do.
Sort of do,
What
okay.
what type of gradient?
Well,
A gradient node?
Yeah, I mean, I know you got a gradient viewer there. But
I don't know if this one's working right now. I don't want it to crash.
Okay.
So let me do it in the standalone, which I know is bug-free. So let's actually do a tetratic. There we go. So there's our 4 colors.
Right.
And if we go save colors to a node file
okay.
and gradient node keys.
Okay.
So if we go save and then now if we can go, let's hit OK on that. Let's get this bigger so we can see what we're doing. Come over here, import nodes, test.
Oh, slick, great.
There's
Okay.
those 4 colors
Yeah.
that were in here.
Yeah.
You can see them right there. There's those colors there. And there also is keys in a gradient node.
Slick, okay, great.
So I can actually, let's use this gradient. Let's try this out. So we'll put it over here as the input and the color into the color. And let's render this. There we go.
Cool.
And it's using the weight map values to decide what color goes where. And it's actually, you noticed it was kind of pinched in the middle. You know, there's not much green, but there's a lot of blue and red. That's because it is going from 0 to 1. So if we set it to go -1 and then rearrange these keys a bit. There we go. This actually needs to go to 1. It just goes in 0.1 increments when it plops out the keys. So let's where'd that previous key go? There we go. Yeah, there we go. Now we should get a better distribution of colors on that. There we go. And it's using those weight map values that plugin created. And it just follows mesh. It doesn't have to be a tube. It can be any mesh. It's basically, it actually does it the same way you would do it by hand. You know, you select one point and then you just start selecting connected. And so you see how it's just flowing, those selections are flowing outward. So what it does is it selects the whole thing, weights it, it would weight it with this value here, and then it steps it back. Steps it back one, weights the selection, then steps it back again and weights it, and just keeps weighting it as it steps it back. That's why it takes a while. But it's the only way to really do it nicely without missing anything. There's let's weight it a different way. Let's use this same thing. Let's let me. I don't want to lose my surfacing because I got it looking nice. So let's save all objects. I'm also going to show off this render display. Most people probably use the image viewer. I know Dave uses the image viewer. I prefer QV4. There isn't a Mac equivalent to QV4, unfortunately, because it's a Windows window. It doesn't look like a LightWave window. You can see this looks like a Windows window. But it's got quicker controls to some of these things. You know, you can instantly see the output. You don't have to pull down a drop box. If you click it, it zooms in. Right click it to zoom out. You don't have to, you're not constrained to 200%, 400%, 800% like the image viewer. You can, to get color values, to see the color values, those are down here. You don't have to click and drag to get the color values like you do with the image viewer. And right now it's showing them as floating point. If you go here, you can actually change that.
And notes is the nice point
Yeah.
about it too, I think. I think that's really helpful.
And so now it's showing them as regular integer values. So yeah, and you can have different different things show up. The notes, you can leave a note. Scene info. This was a lot of info at one point. There's a plugin called Infosaver. Maybe I'll demo that next. I also wrote that. But it gives you some basic information, how long it took to render, things like that.
Is Infosaver the one that opens up in a browser, saves out of HTML?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's.
I updated it for LightWave 10.
Oh, okay.
So now it works with the color spaces. So that's we saved this out. I just want to make sure. Let's come over here, and you see these aren't connected to each other. They're following their own little path. They're not connected to each other. If I select one of these points, select connected, you see it's just that one thing. Let's run random weight per connected and have it go on a different weight map. And this one too, we'll have it go from -1 to 1. These numbers, they could be anything. It's not clamped. Weight values, they're just numbers. Multipass, I'll just enable multipass just to make sure all of them get taken. And what it's going to do is it's going to select a point. Oh, there, it's done already. That was quick. You can see each tube has its own independent weight map value, but it's the same value along the whole tube. So each one has a different value, but the whole tube has the same value. So, and actually, I didn't load up the object, so I'm going to have to come over here, copy my nodes. I didn't load this object back up, so it's the old one with the old surfacing. So let's just go ahead and paste the surfacing in here. Oh, you can't paste between modeler and layout. Nice to know.
Export those nodes and then import them.
Oops.
Yeah.
Someone should write a plugin that does that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back into modeler and import. And pop that in there. Now let's save this. Let's maximize. Okay, items replace with itself. And we just have to change that weight map because it's a different weight map.
Oh.
It's the random weight instead of the outward weight. So now if we render this, each tube has a different color, but that color is the same along each tube. And you can actually mix the two together if you want them to start going into a different color or a different texture or something like that. So these can be combined like any other node. Let's see what else I've got.